Okay, we are live. You're watching the Merge Marketing Podcast. You're listening to the Merged Marketing Podcast. My name's Jason Hunt, and I'm here today with Tyler Trafas from OneWave. Tyler is a world traveler, author of a book called Tropical Depression, and like I said, founder of OneWave Surf. OneWave Surf offers advanced coaching, surf guides, adventure travel, and surf-oriented yoga instruction. And total transparency to our audience, Tyler is an old buddy from my days living in Japan. Tyler, what's going on, dude?
Good times, Jason. All good here.
Awesome. Yeah. So we, you've taken, well, if we were to just rewind back to 2000 and let's say 5,
Nissan Go.
What were you doing?
2005, we were standing on top of the Umeda Tower, I believe, chanting Nissan Go, welcoming the New Year's in Japan, trying to scrape 2 yen together so we could go on crazy excursions to Thailand and Bali.
It's so funny because I remember living back in those days where it was like we literally were living paycheck to paycheck. It was that last day of the month. I'd go to the bank machine after a week of just eating tuna and boom, waiting for that final check and then just go cash out. And we would usually go to a bar or save up for a snowboarding trip of sorts or a trip to Thailand. But that was quite the life. And I still give a bit of credit to that life into the way that business and my life has become now as an entrepreneur. Can you say the same?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, on top of everything else, just technology and the way people paid, and there was no credit, there's no credit cards being swiped. It was a cash society where you had to earn the money to spend it.
That's right. And we're talking about a world before the likes of Facebook. Facebook was just emerging back then.
Totally.
Business check-ins were just emerging back then, tagging friends on Facebook. I mean, it was such a different world back in 2005, 2006, but to where it has come to now, it was such an interesting life because you look at Japan, you remember the marketing in Japan. Everywhere you go, there's advertisements on absolutely everything, from toilets to there's not a single space on a subway where there is not an advertisement. And at least for myself, I've taken that to marketing nowadays and just taking that perspective and the way the Japanese have always used and pushed advertising in front of people. It's just such a different way of looking at it and such a different culture compared to the North American culture of advertising.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what has bled into our online advertising realm, is that there's no empty space on a web page. There's no empty space on a Facebook chat. Any place they can slide a banner in, it's there. Any place Google might get a click, it's there.
It's so funny though, because I mean, that has been the norm over the last decade, but now it seems like we're kind of evolving out of that because it's almost like, I don't know if it's just oversaturation or people are just numb to ads now, but now people need to be providing this intrinsic value up front before the ask. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And, and what I want to dive into today with you is because I really want to dive into OneWave Surf because I find it's such a inspiring story, especially for a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And I want to dive into what OneWave Surf is, how it came to be. But first of all, what happened to OneWave Surf back in March 2020?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, we're talking about the beginning of the COVID lockdown, I'm assuming. And essentially every single, lesson that was paid for, every surf trip that was organized, everything came to a screeching halt and even had to refund people. And unfortunately, we do have a business where we have turnover and we spend as we go, and we give people paychecks and their fees and stuff as we go. So it really put me in a bind where the company had to borrow money just to give refunds.
That's crazy. That's nuts. And so now, and like most travel businesses out there, we're just hammered, and now you're kind of backpedaling. Now, for yourself, were you panicking or were you trying to seek an opportunity on where you can still reap income?
No, it was total panic mode. It caught me totally by surprise. I mean, nobody would have thought that the whole world would shut down like it did. And both of our both of our revenue streams are travel based, tourist based, face on face based, meet at the beach based. And so when that was shut down, like I said, it was a surprise, and I was not prepared.
So, okay, so now OneWave Surface hit pretty hard financially, and what did you do? What were the next steps that you took to get you in a position of green again?
So we had to go to a place of net negative in April, and I just told my teachers, stand by, or you should seek other employment. Obviously, the nice thing is that unemployment was giving 1099 contractors some wages here in the States, so they were able to collect some wages while we were completely shut down. And lo and behold, here comes May, and there's a huge demand in May, the second they allowed beaches to be opened up in California for the surf lesson situation. There was a lot of people who all they could do was go on a hike or go to the beach. And so there was a huge shift for our clientele, because we weren't getting tourists. We weren't getting international tourists. We weren't getting domestic tourists coming and taking surf lessons. We weren't even getting people traveling city to city to take surf lessons. It was simply people who were bored and wanted to, get out of the house after lockdown. So 2020 was a very different year for us in a lot of ways.
So let's talk about a bit about those services that OneWave Surf offers. So aside from lessons, what else do you guys provide?
So aside from lessons, we have a large, beautiful beach house, surf house in El Salvador. So several times a year, we give the opportunity for students, associates, people to get on a plane and join open group retreats, open group trips, where they can stay in luxury at a world-class surf break and travel to all kinds of breaks nearby. Great food, great accommodations. They get massage, yoga, video feedback, photos, all that kind of stuff. So it's a great surf trip, all inclusive, that people take, as well as just coming down and renting out the house for them and their buddies is another opportunity we give people. It is not only a surf retreat house, but it's also just a house rental as well. So that's go ahead.
Yeah. Is there any elements of the business that we're able to be taking virtually, like any virtual surf lessons, which are kind of tough because it's sort of hands-on, but are there any sort of tutorials that you were able to provide that you can monetize during the pandemic?
No, I think if I had been more prepared or saw this coming, I could have put together a learn basic skills at home course, or a workout for at home. I could have gone in that direction. I feel like a lot of people who are in athletics did become at home personal trainers, and so I guess I could have gone in that direction to subside. But luckily, we were only shut down for 11 weeks.
11 weeks. And so after 11 weeks, what exactly happened? Did Trump open up the gates again to travel? What was it after 11 weeks?
No. So nothing happened as far as the international sites. Nothing happened until the following October. So that was shut down for most of the year, the international travel side of things. But the local surf lessons, they allowed people to return to the beaches. So when they allowed people to return to the beaches, people bought surfboards. And when people bought surfboards and went, oh, surfing is hard, they looked up surf lessons. And since we are local and we are the #1 locally based surf school in the area, people started calling us to do surf lessons almost immediately when the beaches opened.
COVID protocols need to be in place for that?
We wore masks. During everything on the sand, not in the water. But on a 9-foot surfboard, if you're pushing somebody, you're theoretically 6 to 9 feet away from them at all times anyway.
Right. Of course. Actually, that is a sport that's pretty conducive to the new COVID lifestyle, right? So,
oh yeah,
100%. Yeah, definitely. So, okay. So you had the transition from, being a vacation destination to really a focus on local. So what in your business, in terms of the marketing, did you have to do to make that pivot to focusing on a local community and a local audience?
So so that was the first thing that came back. I waited for the organic play, and that was the organic play. That's what governments allowed us to do first. So I pivoted all of my social media marketing and all of my Google ads to focus on those local lessons. And hey, you're bored, you've been at home, come try a surf lesson type thing. Because again, the only options you had were go for a hike or go to the beach.
So, okay, so you pivoted to local. Was that kind of an epiphany for you when you did that? Was it like, whoa, like we're actually reaping great benefits just by targeting a local audience and focusing our efforts there, as opposed to targeting all of the US for vacation travel?
Yeah, I mean, whereas we're probably 80-20 on any given year, 20% being local, we had to be 100% local during that one summer. Just in, not to be off topic at all, but we're already about to 50-50 this summer, and I imagine it'll pivot back to 80-20 by next summer.
Interesting. Now, when you say that, does that mean the actual business that's coming to you locally scales back, or is it staying stagnant and you're just getting that additional revenue from the vacation travel?
Both. I mean, I guess the best way to put it is there's only so many lessons we can do in a year. If we do 1,000 lessons, I can track where the people found us. A lot of our booking software and marketing software shows where they called from, where they searched from, things like that. So we can track where the searches are coming from, and about 80% of it normally comes from outside of the Los Angeles area, even though all of our surf lessons happen in the Los Angeles area.
Interesting.
And that was flipped during COVID.
Yeah. Okay. One thing I noticed, and I think it's important for the audience to understand, is how you've been able to develop such a good reputation for OneWave Surf. Like, I'm looking here at a 4.9 rating on your GMB, Google My Business, 111 reviews. Tell me and our audience a little bit on how you amassed that and how you developed such a good reputation for OneWave Surf.
Well, I think it started when we started the company. I contacted Yelp. Yelp was the big review platform back then. It was, I don't even think people really did Google reviews back then. When you searched for a service or for a restaurant or something like that, you used Yelp. And they pointed out that while they're more expensive to advertise with, while they're more expensive to focus your energy on, when people go on Yelp, they're more likely to book by the end of that search than through any other platform. So I trained myself to teach in a manner, to give customer service in a manner that's going to encourage people to go in and give a review afterwards. And that was the successful play for sure. So we trained based on the Yelp, I would say the Yelp platform or the Yelp standard back in the day. So that would have been about 2010, 2011. And then by the time Google Ads and Google Reviews and Groupon and other marketing formats started to overtake Yelp, we were already trained and in a position that we could continue that format of giving the customer service that leads to good reviews.
So, okay. So, riding this pandemic wave to make profits in 2021, where are you allocating that attention to this year? Has it been Yelp? Is it the Groupons of the world? Where have you seen the biggest opportunities to move that needle?
Yeah, unfortunately, we are maxed out at what we can do organically. Even so, we can't take on any more business without expanding right now. So I have shifted. I'm in a good position right now where I can be selective on where I market. We want to market towards small groups, no discount, one-on-one intimate style or two-on-one intimate style lessons and surf travel, and do that because that's where we have the most return. We're not giving a percentage to Yelp. We're not giving a percentage to Groupon.
So are you getting a lot of like word of mouth? Is there an incentive that you give to referrals? Is that one of the means of attracting business?
Right. So every time somebody finishes a lesson, whether the lesson went well or not, they get a follow-up email. And in that email, we offer them the opportunity to come back at a discount or to bring a friend at a discount.
Okay. Got you. Okay, cool. So you're leveraging, existing clients to bring in new business through their friends and family and things like that. And what is your method for getting them to actually go and leave a review? Because this is a big challenge for a lot of businesses out there. Is they have a great business, they do great work, but they just don't get that follow through in having that customer leaving them a review. So when I see you've got 111 reviews here, and I was reading through them, and they're legitimate reviews. It's not just somebody leaving 5 stars for a Starbucks gift card. Like these are legitimate reviews that are authentic. So what were you able to do to entice them to leave that review after a lesson?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, like, for lack of a better term, our business, OneWave Surf, benefits from the stoke factor. It's just that people are stoked when they leave the beach, and they're willing to share that stoke any way they can, whether it's telling their friends or whether it's telling, the online community. So if I guide them towards that method, often they will take me up on that offer with no incentive.
So you'll ask them afterwards, hey, if you don't mind, go over to OneWave Surf, leave a review.
Yeah. So I follow, our lessons follow a teaching format. And one of the final things in a successful teaching lesson or a successful class is to have a reflection, to sit back with your student, with your client, and sit and talk to them about what went well, where the improvement needs to be, and what can happen in the future. So even if a student says they're probably never going to do this again, they're from out of town, we can have them say, well, if you'd like, I can take 2 minutes with you right now and show you what you can do in front of your TV 1,000 miles from the coast to become a better surfer, so that if you are ever back by the coast again and you want to try it, you will be more prepared the next time and more in shape the next time to do that. And usually they'll take that teacher up on that offer. And the trade is, not obviously there's a handshake, but the teacher will say, hey, I really appreciate it, gratuity or not. Could you take 2 minutes, since I took 2 minutes, and go online and leave a review?
That's actually pretty brilliant. And I know we're talking here about a business that has the stoked factor.
It helps.
but it definitely helps. But why couldn't the same be rolled out for a car mechanic? Where, you know what I mean? Where they do have that reflection time afterwards, like, yo, here, I'm going to give a review of how you've been treating your car over the last 6 months. This, and this, and just going more in depth, and maybe having that person learn something from that experience above and beyond the actual service being provided. And it sounds like that's what the reflection time is.
So can you have that exchange? Can a car mechanic have that exchange where a car mechanic says, hey, I just did this service to your car. I noticed X, Y, and Z. If I take 2 minutes to walk you through better preventative care on your car, will you take 2 minutes to leave me a positive review on Google? I don't feel like that exchange can't happen in other businesses. It's worked in ours.
100%. That's brilliant. That can cross many industries, whether it's being a financial advisor, real estate agent. It applies to all. That reflection time. Is that what you call it? Reflection time?
Yeah, it is. It is reflection in the course of a lesson or a class. You're supposed to take a percentage of the class to reflect on how it went.
I love it. That's awesome. That is cool. That's cool, Tyler. And that's kind of got down a rabbit hole there, but we got to something pretty cool that I think a lot of businesses can take away
Totally.
from that, for sure. Now, in terms of we got 111 reviews, crushing it on Google Local. Do you do anything for paid advertising?
I do the absolute minimum on Google Ads, and actually, I have a theory right now that it's hurting me more than it's helping me. And that's because the biggest black hole we've gone down, sorry to steal your term, has been Groupon. They've been both a blessing and a curse for many reasons. But one of the biggest reasons why they've been a curse is if you search surf lessons in Manhattan Beach, we will organically come up top page. But the very first ad you see is an ad selling our services for less than we sell it through Groupon.
Yeah, that's the negative side of Groupon, right? Like everybody's going to be looking for a Groupon forever for OneWave Surf, at least those ones that came in through a Groupon originally, right?
Exactly. So that's been, like I said, the issue I'm dealing with the ads. So I'm just paying Google the minimum on the ads, so they're having some money from me, but I feel like it's a drop in the ocean compared to what Groupon's paying or what some of the competitors are paying them.
Have you thought about like in terms of Facebook advertising, because it's so sophisticated now in terms of getting in front of the right audience. There's a
Right.
very specific avatar that would be interested in OneWave Surf lessons. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And from there, Facebook, you can get in front of that audience without even telling Facebook, I'm looking for people that like surfing, because a lot of your audience might not know they like surfing yet, or even they haven't even planted that seed yet in their brain. So it's kind of like, hey, dropping nuggets on them, being like, hey, is this something you're interested in? Getting them to go over to your website and retargeting them.
Yeah.
Have you thought about taking that approach yet, or is that just not something you've needed to dive down to yet?
Yes, I have, but the thing is like I mentioned earlier, is the surf lessons have reached their capacity. So unless I expand or unless I hire more teachers, I can't take on more anyway. So right now I've been working on the quality of the teaching and the quality of the marketing this year, so that the marketing is selling more full price lessons or small group lessons versus the big highly discounted situation.
Got you. Well, that's a good problem to have.
It is right now. It is a good problem to have. And obviously what you said, if I was to expand, or if we were in a place to take on, let's say, to go from 1,000 lessons a summer to 2,000 lessons, I would look in that kind of more specific marketing. And there's a term for that. What's that called? That targeted marketing people pay professionals to do now?
Well, you mean just like simple retargeting?
Is that what it is? I remember somebody approaching me about it, saying like, you pay more to create these campaigns, but they're more specific who they're going after.
Well, there's so many different types. There's native advertising, programmatic media buying, or there's like in terms of Facebook. I personally think for your business, it's sexy, man, and Facebook works for that, right? You use a flat platform like Facebook to build that intent behind somebody that's looking for something new, and something a new thing to try out. And I think that's where that would be an ideal audience for you, is somebody that maybe hasn't thought about trying to surf. They're not necessarily, the intent is not there like it would be if you buy Google ads. When you buy Google ads, it's like, okay, people are looking for surfing in an area. You know what I mean? There's high intent there. But with Facebook, there's an opportunity to, have this idea, plant the seed, and then address any objection in a retargeting ad, and then give them a discount in that third retargeting ad. You know what I mean? Where you can still not charge as cheap amount as you would for Groupon, but you still get somebody with high intent that is actually interested in what you have to offer after they've been through the sequence of ads.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's a good alternative for sure.
Yeah. So you have my number.
All right. Let me know if you want to set it up.
Yeah. Cool. But Tyler, this has been awesome, man. It's been good to see you. It's been too long. If my audience has any questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
I guess they could send me an email, onewavesurfoc@gmail.com.
Awesome. Cool. And what about the socials?
OneWave Surf is on Instagram as OneWave Surf as well.
Awesome. Can I throw you some rapid fire questions?
Go for it.
All right, let's do it. All right. What's your favorite brand?
The clothing brand?
Sure.
Rivka.
What's your favorite surf destination?
I moved to my favorite surf destination, so that would be Sunzal, El Salvador. Nice. And we have a surf retreat there.
Awesome. Are you a morning or night person?
Morning. I'm asleep by 9 p.m.
Ooh, okay. Where is your next travel destination outside of the U.S.?
I would like to go surf the world's longest wave in Chicama, Peru.
Nice. You thought about that one before, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, nice. Favorite memory of living in Japan?
Ooh. All of my memories are kind of negative, but in a good way. Like getting my shoes stolen on the train and having our faces plastered all over every train station for 60 miles, trying to recover our shoes.
That's awesome. You know what?
Twisted stuff like that is what I remember from Japan.
Dude, I remember this. It wasn't Japan. It was when we were in Thailand. But I remember this one memory of I went into this. I don't even know if you'd remember this. I went into a gift shop, and I went in there and I got a T-shirt, and I thought I got a great deal. I paid, I don't know, probably like 300 baht for the shirt, equivalent of like $10, $12. And you're like, that's cool, man. Watch this. And Tyler goes in. You walk in there. You walk into the same store, getting the exact same shirt for about 50 baht. I tell that story all the time. I'm a terrible negotiator, but that's one thing you've mastered for sure. You still a good negotiator? You still good? Or, yeah.
I'm still hired to negotiate by many of my associates.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Tyler, this has been a slice. Last question for you. If you could choose one person, dead or alive, to represent your brand, who would it be and why?
Man, that's a hard one.
We ask every guest this question at the end of the show. And this is episode 91, by the way. So
that's a good one. I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden. I don't know why, but I really, really think that, man, that's hard. This is a hard one. I mean, I want to go with a surfer, but if I have to do a non-surfer, who's the chef who unfortunately took his own life recently?
David Blaine.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain tells it how it is, lives life in the moment. And I really like Anthony Bourdain a lot. I think he would do a great representation of OneWave surf.
That's a great one. And also a good Wikipedia read for anybody out there. Check it out.
For sure.
Awesome. Tyler, thanks again for joining, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Jay. Talk soon.
There you go, Tyler Trafas from OneWave Surf. That was awesome. I mean, I know a lot of you guys out there might be small business owners looking for tips and tricks on how to maybe increase those Google reviews. OneWave Surf is a great example of a business that has a great reputation. Obviously, OneWave Surf has that quote unquote stoke factor, just being in the business of surfing. But one thing to take away from it is really that reflection time that you could have with that potential customer at the end of providing your service, where you can maybe ask them some questions about the way they approach that area of expertise that you have, and giving them a little bit of feedback and a review on them and their time with you in exchange for them to potentially leave you a review, which I think is a great tactic to increase those Google reviews. Well, for everyone out there watching or listening, thank you for watching and listening to the Merged Marketing Podcast. Don't forget to go on over to your favorite podcast platform, give us a review, and also subscribe. I appreciate it. Don't settle for good. Be great. We'll see y'all soon.